Ooh. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the final round here of Sim Nation India. Hard to believe that it's been 6 weeks of racing already done and dusted. Well, not essentially done and dusted. This is, of course, the final round of the championship. And, well, what a race that we're going to end it on here. We're going to do it at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The 24 hours in real life has just come to an end after an incredible 24 hours of racing. So why don't we do the same thing, except we're not going to do 24 hours straight. We're going to do 90 minutes of racing with the time sped up by 9 times. So we'll essentially recreate the Le Mans 24 hour here. The drivers will have the opportunity to use the prototypes, which you see on track at the moment. Remember that Gran Turismo is probably a little bit further outdated than what we have in real life. So none of the hypercar category cars are here. Instead, we're using the old LMP1 cars. And of course, there is the 919 hybrid from Porsche, which we're looking at right now. There's the TOS, I'll get the name right eventually, the Toyota hybrid car as well, that ran dominant for a number of years. Porsche was very dominant as well before they pulled out the series. And of course, we also have a classic as well racing. We've got a Mercedes C9 that is currently being used in practice session. I don't know if it'll be used in the full session. We'll wait and see about that. But of course, things will get quite interesting here because, like we said, we have 90 minutes of racing, so that's 1.5 hours of racing. We'll qualify for 15 minutes. The tyre and the fuel consumption there will be the normal regular speed of degradation and reducing of the fuel, but in the actual race it won't be times 9, it should be times 16 the speed of the time and the duration. Of course, so we will race from the afternoon through the night into the morning and then into midday again to simulate that full 24 hours. There of course is a high chance of rain because, of course, the weather settings, well, they've been set to default here at Le Mans. And if you were watching the 24 hours of Le Mans, there was quite a fair few sprinkles of rain here and there, and it made things quite interesting. But of course, we will have rain here today in our final round. The time progression, as we said before, is set to mimic the 24-hour cycle over 90 minutes of racing. And of course, after last week's issues where we had a few drivers disconnect sort of halfway through the race, it was I can imagine it was quite irritating for some of the drivers, especially the ones that were performing really well. I think we had one of our top 4 drivers unfortunately disconnect from the session. So a new rule has been implemented in case of disconnection, and if you completed at least 50% of the race, where you were at the time of disconnection. So for example, if you were in 3rd or 4th position, you would get those points as long as you finished 50% of that race. Now I don't know what that means for the drivers that stayed in the session, actually finished in that place, so they disconnected ahead and then they got through. Where do they score the points in this situation? Well, we'll find that later on. There are no vision cars at all in this. We're just solely using the Group 1 open class, so I would imagine we're going to see a lot of prototypes, mostly from this era. I want to say the previous generation of prototypes that we have. Of course, nowadays we're in the hypercar category with the likes of Toyota, Ferrari, Cadillac, Glickenhaus, Vanderhall, Peugeot, and the other one that escapes my mind. I know there is definitely another one out there. Is that it actually? Oh no, Porsche. How can I forget that? Porsche returned to Le Mans after a brief hiatus. And of course, well, next year it's just going to get more and more exciting, isn't it? With the likes of BMW, Lamborghini, and of course Alpine joining the fray as well. But today, of course, we are in round 6 here of Simnation India. It's come down all the way to this final round. We should have a total of 8 drivers. We started the championship up with about 10. I think we went up as high as 12 at one point, and now we're down, I think, to just the final 8 who will take to the track here in the Le Mans Prototypes part of Group 1 in the open class. Now, no tuning, no nitrous oxide, so the drivers and the teams are not allowed to tune the car in any way, shape or form. The cars have to be bone stock, no nitrous oxide as well to aid the systems. Of course, they're all equipped with turbos and hybrid systems as well. You can actually see the battery gauges there in the fuel meter. So we'll keep all of that at the bottom of the screen so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. We've got the left hand side, it's got the tyres. Right next to that is the fuel gauge, and then that little battery icon where you can see that little green bar, that is the hybrid system that they can use around here. Now, I did see that one driver said that they were just coming back, so hopefully we'll start with qualification soon enough for this 1.5 hour race, our last race as well of the championship. 90 minutes of racing here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. We'll be using the full course. We're not using the old school layout, which of course includes the without the chicanes down the Mulsanne straight. We will be using the chicanes here, and I can guarantee that's going to catch out somebody at some point, but we'll wait and see as yes, we're just waiting for the final driver to enter the session, and then we can go racing for one final time. It actually says that we have 8 drivers, but I don't see 8 that are currently circulating. Fun Anywhere is in the pit lane at the moment. Bukaran is out there. Of course, he's in the C9 Mercedes. Oh, it looks like we're going to get a 9th driver, so that's going to be cool. Very good to have. The more the merrier, of course. At Le Mans we had over 62 cars, if I'm not mistaken, racing. He will have 9, which is still quite an impressive number. Racing online here, and it's always good fun, as we do each week with Sim Nation India. But unfortunately, it comes to an end today after the 90 minutes have concluded. That's it. It will be the last race that we do. So one driver just exited the session. Hopefully they'll be back in the session in due time, because of course we'd like to get underway as soon as we can. So there is a delayed start. We're just waiting for one of the drivers to take up his position. So we'll just wait for him. This gives the drivers, though, who are currently in the session, a little bit more time to practice here, especially at the night time. Night can be very, very tricky here around the Circuit de la Sarthe, especially because a lot of the track isn't lit up. As remember, it's public roads, so there aren't these massive lights anywhere that illuminate the track. They have to rely on those small lights that light up certain parts of the track. Of course, their headlights as well, which you can see are ablaze, but it is certainly dark along the back straight. It's definitely dark around the Mulsanne straight, and of course the chicanes as well, where it can go quite tricky. But when it comes to the actual circuit, it sort of lightens up, especially there on the front straightaway. So we will be racing momentarily. And while we do that, I will take just a short break and I'll be right back. So it looks to be that unfortunately we've lost a few more drivers in the session. Hopefully they'll rejoin us. As we said, we should be up to at least 9 drivers in total here for our final round. I know that we had one driver who is on his way. There we go, got some drivers now joining the session, or rejoining the session, to say the least, and hopefully we'll be underway shortly. We just have a slight delay as one driver is on his way to the track. So incredible how advanced or how far we've come in terms of the equipment inside of a car, as we're currently on board with the C9 Mercedes, and if we were to go, say, on board with the likes of this 919 hybrid, we have just a simple screen and that's it. We don't have any other gauges on the dash, no indicators, no buttons or switches or anything like that. There it is. That's just how simple it is nowadays. Just a steering wheel with an LED display on it with the indicator of when to shift. There are obviously, of course, buttons here and there, but of course all the attention is basically right there in front of you. No need to look left, no need to look right, just look straight. It's amazing how far we've come over the past couple of years, and just it's incredible to see how basic it looks inside of the old Le Mans prototype sports cars that used to run back in the day. So, of course, we will be running Class 1 cars here around Circuit de la Sarthe, as Le Mans has just come to an end. What a fitting way to end here in the Sim Nation India Championship. What a way to end it will be, racing on the most iconic French track ever, to say the least. I mean, yes, there are Formula One tracks that are used for racing, but none as iconic as Le Mans. And great to see here. Of course, it looks to be the slippery conditions, the wet conditions, already proving to be a bit of a problem here in practice at the moment for a few of the drivers. Of course, they can swap their tyres pretty much immediately here to go on the intermediate or the wet. However, in race conditions, they will not be able to do that. But with this additional time that we have at the moment, waiting for the rest of the drivers to sort of trickle their way into the lobby, this gives the drivers who have been here early that opportunity to learn what it's like to drive on the wet, to learn what it's like to drive here at night around Circuit de la Sarthe. And of course, it gives them that advantage. For those who are joining the session later on, they're at a bit of a disadvantage because they're not going to know exactly how this track works. Yeah, they might have some practice yesterday or a week ago or something like that. They might have in the back of their mind. But today's race is going to be quite different. The rain might kick in at a certain point rather than when they expected it to be. So it's best to be in the session earlier here. So I think we're waiting now on just one more driver to enter the fray, and then we'll be good to go racing, or at least qualifying for 15 minutes, and then we'll be racing for 90 minutes once we set the field up. So for those of you who just joined us, this is the final round here of Sim Nation India. This is round number 6, the truth of the 24. It's going to be an interesting one. The 24-hour is an incredible event. Endurance racing as a whole is an incredible event. Whether you're doing it online or physically, it is one of the toughest challenges of racing there is. Non-stop 24-hour racing, well, at least the car is racing for 24 hours, but even racing for an hour and 30 minutes, it might not seem like a long time just doing it on your console like we're doing here on the PS5. You might not think it's difficult, but it really, really is. You have to get yourself in the zone, and you have to ensure that you're concentrating. You can't fidget, you can't look around, because the slightest mishap, if you just look away from the screen just for that ever so slight second, you could be off the track, especially with these treacherous conditions here where it's a little bit more wet than it would be obviously in the dry. But someone has stopped on the second of the two chicanes and has not decided to retire into the pit lane or change their tyres. There's Race for Gaming now working his way around, and look at the spray being kicked up there, so the track is still rather wet. It may have stopped raining, but it is quite wet, and the session has been ended. So we will wait for a new session to be created, and then we will rejoin that one. We'll show friends only rooms, so we'll just wait for this to be updated. So do bear with us. We have some technical difficulties here. We'll keep refreshing the page to ensure that we see the lobby once it appears. So yes, the lobby will reset, and there it is. So we will hop in, practice, qualifying, and of course the endurance race of 90 minutes. 15 minutes of qualifying is how we'll set up the grid. And then to figure out who will be the overall victor, we'll go racing for 1 hour and 30 minutes, or 90 minutes is how long we'll go racing for here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. No one is currently in the session at the moment. I was the first to join, so we can't spectate. I can unfortunately not join the session either because I don't have the car unlocked to participate in such a race, so I can't even drive you around for one lap. Apparently I can enter the track with my Mustang, but probably not the best idea. I won't be as competitive as, say, the other ones are. For likes as we are seeing at least 2 of the 919 hybrids. I'm not sure why we have the bonnet cam as the drivers re-enter the session now. Hopefully we'll have all of them into the session, and then we can go racing here around the Circuit de la Sarthe, around the most iconic track, one of the most iconic tracks in all of racing, actually, come to think of it. So we're just waiting for the final drivers now to enter the session, and then we'll be good to go racing or qualifying first. I see some of the drivers have decided to put some liveries on the car. Some have prefer to go the plainer route with as little paint or decals as humanly possible to lighten the car up. I see the settings are being changed here for the race. And we have a total of 8 drivers here today racing in our final round. I guess I was the 9th driver there that was showing on screen. Let's display all of our information that we need, because of course fuel and tyres will be a factor in this. It'll play a part in the strategy of an hour and a half racing. We're expecting at least 1 pit stop, possibly 2, maybe more. Let's see how this pans out. So qualifying will start shortly. The lap times around Circuit de la Sarthe are over 3 minutes in length, so we should get about 4 laps of qualifying, possibly 3, but of course there is a slight time extension if you haven't gone across the line, so you'll still essentially have an additional lap, so you may get 4 laps in total here in the qualifying session. But with 15 minutes of qualifying, and then we will do the 90-minute race around the Circuit de la Sarthe. If you just joined us, welcome to the 6th and final round of Simnation India. The final round of the championship has come all the way down here to this final race. We started 6 weeks ago, but we started 5 weeks ago actually, on the most iconic racetrack in Australia, and we end it with the most iconic track in France. We started with tarmac racing, we're ending it in tarmac racing. Of course, if you want to watch any of the previous races, you can of course check out the Simnation India YouTube channel, where we have all of the races, bar round 1 unfortunately because we had an issue with that one, but races 2 through 6 will be live for you to rewatch on Simnation India's YouTube channel. And of course you can relive all the action that we've had over the past couple of race weekends. We've had some interesting challenges out there. We've had team races, drag racing, off-road racing. We had that ridiculous special stage map where basically it's whoever pulls out of the racing line through turn 4 is the winner, and if you lose the tail end of the train, that's it, you're out of the race essentially. And it's been quite a fun ride as well. We even went drag racing at some point, like we said before, and that was interesting because GT7 doesn't actually allow you to set that up at all, so we found a way to do it, and it was good fun. You should definitely check out that. That was round 3 of the championship. So we're now qualifying here to set the field up for our our one and only race that we'll have here today, actually. Not first race, just one race of 90 minutes, so 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing. Of course, before we do that, we have to do 15 minutes of qualifying, so the cars are on their outlap now. Of course, this will be their first sort of grip on the track. Now, we did have a bit of practice earlier on where some of the drivers kind of got a feel for what it's like to race at night, what it's like to race in the wet, what it's like to race when it's raining and it's complete darkness down the Mulsanne Straight. So a few drivers have already got that inkling in them, but let's see what that's like in race conditions, because of course it will add that additional challenge, because of course they were just practicing, they're just having a bit of fun learning here. What they might not have done obviously during that practice session is deal with cars around them in those conditions, because of course what we're doing here in this 90-minute session will speed up the time so it simulates that full 24 hours experience. So we will start at midday, we'll go all the way through the night, we'll go through the early hours of the morning back to midday, so the drivers have the opportunity to have that, that sense of racing in the 24 hours, but here of course in Gran Turismo 7. So the teams have been, or the drivers better yet, have been told that they must make use of the weather map. Now, I'm not able to see the weather map at the moment. It would be great to see, it would be great for us to follow it as well, to see if we can kind of have an inkling of when we're expecting to have that rain. But of course what we will have, we'll see obviously when it happens, there and then in front of us. We'll see the rain falling down from the sky, we'll see the damp track and everything like that, and we'll see how much of a challenge that is here for our 8 drivers. Now, all of the drivers that are participating here today have done all the rounds. I think only one driver, Bukran, missed the first round, but he's been with us ever since round 2. So of course all these drivers have raced against each other many times in the championship. They all know one another very well when it comes to track racing, but of course now that we're racing with the prototypes or the hybrids, it's a little bit more different, of course, because different dimensions, different speeds, different braking points, and but all the same drivers around them, different cars as well. We forgot to mention that here, because what we have here is we have the mix of the Porsche 919 hybrids, we have the Toyota TOS010, I want to say. There's only one of those in the field, and there it is in red. That's another 919. It seems to be the 919 is the car of choice here. And then we have a single driver, Bukran, who is in the C9 Mercedes, which probably hasn't seen the light of day at Le Mans since the late 90s. Actually, I think this is an earlier car than that, come to think of it, because the C11 came afterwards, didn't it? And that was, we all know what happened there to Mercedes' return to the iconic Circuit de la Sarthe. So now with the first lap completed, the outlap completed, it's now time to go qualifying, and let's see who puts the fastest lap in right from the get-go. The Asian player is going to have to slow down, so unfortunately that's going to put him at a little bit of a deficit. Good news is that he's got quite a fair bit back to this man right here, Race 4 Gaming, and it seems to be the field is quite spread out here at the moment. Not too many drivers, in a similar place, not picking up the toe from one another, not spoiling each other's laps or anything like that, so it's good to have that space between you, although the two cars here seem to be quite close together. This is Fun Anywhere and Super Vidu, who is tucked in behind him. I see we don't have RKV here today, so that's quite unfortunate that he's not with us. Hopefully, maybe we'll see him in the race when it starts. He'll have to start at the back of the grid, of course, but very unfortunate we don't have him here, as Super Vidu's trying to find a way past the Toyota, as the Porsche sits behind, and then way at the back of the field so far is the C9 Mercedes, a little bit further back, but of course biding his time. So the Ancient Pleb will be the first to come across the line. However, he's got 0.5 of a second of a penalty on his name, so if you're penalised sort of towards the end of the track, there is of course that mandatory point on the track where it will slow him down, and of course that is not something you want to do, because it slows you down so fast as well. It it says that it's going to do it, and there we go. He's being forced now to decelerate at the next penalty line, and as soon as he hits it, he's just going to be forced to slow down to take back those 0.5 of a second, and that's going to really cost him here on this opening lap of qualification here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. So he's going to go down a little bit here. This gives Race 4 Gaming a bit of a chance to catch up, but he's starting to be caught actually from Phantom Shadow, and the Wildest Monk as well is Race 4 Gaming. And well, they're now working their way through the third and final sector of the Circuit de la Sarthe. Long sweeping corners around here. It's absolutely phenomenal to see these cars being thrown around here. It's fantastic that we're doing this as well as the last race. We just the 24 Hours of Le Mans finished about just under 2 hours ago. A magnificent spectacle of 24 hours of racing. Ferrari returned after 58 years and reclaimed the top step of the podium on their first trip back to Le Mans in the highest class of racing. So Race 4 Gaming is the fastest man out there by 0.3 of a second over the Ancient Pleb, a 3-minute 26.358 that time round. The Ancient Pleb did a 3:26.691. Bukaran has just gone quickest of all though in the older spec C9. No hybrid system here at all, just raw power with a turbo, and of course that is the fastest car at the moment by 1.3 seconds is Bukaran with a 3:24.966. Further down, the Wildest Monk is fourth fastest with a 3:27.985, with Vidvia with a 3:31.385. Fun Anywhere did a 3:41.817. He's got a lot of catching up to do if he wants anywhere to be at the front end of the field. With Phantom Shadow a 3:26.252. Now that's a very unfamiliar place to see Phantom Shadow. He's certainly the quickest of drivers so far this season. And then at the tail end of the field for now is Super Fidu with a 3:26.799. I saw that a driver has gone into the pit lane. It looks to be the Ancient Pleb has decided to go in the pit lane and put a set of super softs on. Sorry, soft compound tyres, excuse me, not super soft, to see if he can get that extra grip. Now, of course, the good thing is with the softs is that they're nice and grippy. But the problem is they wear down extremely fast, so they'll keep you hugged to the track, but they won't keep you hugged to the track for long. You know, they'll wear off a lot faster compared to the mediums, and a lot faster compared to the hard compound tyres. So that'll be another thing to see out there on track, the drivers' strategy when it comes to tyre compounds and what they'll use throughout the race. Because of course they have the option of all three tyre compounds. They can choose the softs, medium and hards, and it's down to them when they want to use it. Interesting strategies played out in a previous race when we did some sort of longer races where we had drivers actually come in right at the beginning to get that pit stop over and done with, and then continue on there all the way to the end, where some drivers did kind of the reverse of that and came in as late as possible, which always makes things very interesting in terms of strategy, because of course strategy plays a key role in what we're doing here today. In an endurance round, yes, going fast is good, but also strategy is even better, because of course we have to think of what the strategy will be all the way through the 90 minutes. It might just be gun it, just go as fast as you can, don't make any mistakes, forget about everyone else on track, just go, it's just you. But then that doesn't really help in your strategy, right? Because you'll be using a lot of tyres, you'll be using a lot of fuel as well, because if you're just pushing as hard as possible, all that wear, all that weight as well on the tyres will really wear them down as fast as possible. Of course, if you're gunning it down there, you're just going to be burning fuel like crazy. But in this session, we kind of don't see that, because of course the fuel and the tyre wear is at ×1 during the race itself. Now let's just double check this, what the details say, because I know that is, well, fuel is ×3 and tyres are ×8. So tyres are going to be a real key factor here, and Phantom Shadow 07 has just gone second fastest with a 3:25.202. He's 0.2 of a second off Bukaran, and that's what we're used to seeing from this man right here. He's always been fast in every session we've seen, no matter what the surface of racing that we're on. Okay, the first round probably didn't didn't go the way he planned, and it's a good thing that it's not recorded for his sake. But every round since the second round, he's been absolutely on point. Whether it's been qualifying, whether it's been race pace, he's just had it there, and he's now gone purple through that first sector. What can he do here? It said that he was a second faster, than his fastest time so far. That would give him provisional pole if he can keep this pace up. Now he's got Race 4 Gaming just in front of him, and it looks to be that Bukaran has gone quicker this time round as well. He's done a 3:24.350. Indeed he has. He's found 6/10 of a second. However, this man right here has found a full second somewhere through that first sector, and he's found 2:10 through that second sector. Now that puts him in a bit of a deficit. He won't be as close as he would like to be through Bukaran. Now I have a feeling, is that car still in front of him? Yes, Race 4 Gaming is still in front of him. If he can pick up the toe, that's exactly what he needs, isn't it? Yes, that would be something that would assist him quite a fair bit, because of course down that long Mulsanne straight, it's ideal to have a partner in front of you that you can pick up the draft. So you've got all that air rushing over you, and it's that air that you need to pull yourself closer to the back bumper of your competitor in front of you, and then essentially you just go quicker. Race 4 Gaming though is 8/100th of a second behind Phantom Shadow for the time being, with Bukaran being our qualifying leader, by 8/10 of a second. It's very close there. That's second and third place. Of course, that separates two rows, first row and second row. Ideally, you'd like to start on pole position, or at least on that front row of the grid, to stay out of all the danger that might happen on the opening lap. Vidvir is in the pit lane to put on a pair of softs, but he might be strapped for time here around the Circuit de la Sarthe, so I think his qualifying session might be done and dusted here already, because he's definitely not going to have enough time. Now Phantom Shadow's gone 3/10 of a second faster. Again, it's not gone purple this time round, but what can he do through this third and final sector here? And can he take pole away from Bukaran? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. I did see briefly someone join the session but left the session. I'm not sure if they'll be part of the race. The more the merrier, that's 100% sure. But here we go. 1.3 seconds faster was Phantom Shadow. He's found 1.3 seconds through the corners, but he's not purple at the moment. What can he do though now through the final corners? Well, he's going to come through the final two now. Through the left-hander, through the right-hander. Another left, another right, and then he'll be across the line. And it did look a bit squirrely. Does he improve? Yes, he does. He goes fastest of all by 7/10 of a second that time round. 3:23.599 on that last lap there. He's 7/10 of a second faster than this man right here. But what can he do now through these final corners? Is he going to go quicker? Yes, he does. Bukaran retakes the provisional pole by 1.2 seconds at the line. He's decided enough is enough. He's gone back into the pit lane. 3:22.385 there for Bukaran, and he's 1.2 seconds faster. Phantom Shadow is 1.3 seconds faster than Race 4 Gaming, who's decided enough is enough. He's going to go and settle for that second row of the grid. But what can the Ancient Pleb do this time round? I don't think he's going faster than Race 4, but let's see as he's in those final four corners now. Left, right, left, one more right-hander. Can he improve his time? Not quite. Oh, he does. The Ancient Pleb goes 6/100th of a second faster that time round to beat Race 4 Gaming and put him into fourth place. That is a definite improvement from the Ancient Pleb, and a great lap there. That was very, very close. It didn't look like he was going to have that lap time in there, but he got it there. This should be now the last lap here of qualifying. As the road participant has joined us once again, and indeed it is the final lap here of qualifying. And well, qualifying has now officially finished. Let's have a look at the results quickly, just to confirm. So Buchanan will be on the front row of the grid, 1.2 seconds faster than Phantom Shadow in his 919 hybrid. The Ancient Player will line up on the second row of the grid with the Wildest Monk alongside for company with Super Vidu. Vidvia and Fun Anywhere will be at the back of the grid, 13.7 seconds back from the race, the pace setter, the Sauber Mercedes C9 from 1989. A wonderful throwback to the car, and it looks absolutely incredible indeed. Buchanan was very quick in that session. I did not expect him to be that quick, but it seems that he shocked us all here, which is absolutely phenomenal. Let's see what he can do here. Xiaomi 94 will enter the session, but of course he will be starting at the back of the field, so he unfortunately did not get a qualifying result, and that means we do have a 9th driver, so that is absolutely fantastic. Let's hope he has what car he will choose. Either it will be, I think it'll be a 919 or it'll be a Toyota. It'll be a surprise if he chooses the C9, because of course that is a mega fast car. Let's see how this pans out. As we're about to get, we're about to get underway to go racing for an hour and a half here, or 90 minutes in total. It will be a it'll be a rolling start, for this race, and we'll have 9 drivers who will roll their way onto the grid, and then we'll be racing here for 90 minutes around the Circuit de la Sarthe. If you just joined us, welcome to round 6 here for Sim Nation India, where we'll be racing 90 minutes, but we've simulated it to be as if it is the full 24 hours. So we'll go from midday, we'll go to the late evening, through into the nighttime, into the early hours of the morning, and then back to midday. And there's going to be plenty of challenges. The driver's going to have to keep a very close eye out on the weather as well, because that's going to play a key factor here. Strategy as well is key. Tyre wear and fuel is on as well, and it's gone quite a significant amount as well. So of course, tyre wear is a factor that the drivers will have to take note of. The drivers will also take consideration the fuel load as well. Now, of course, 7 of the cars racing here today are hybrids. One of them isn't, so we'll see that under the fuel gauge, we won't see that battery indicator underneath. The car is turbocharged, but it doesn't have the battery indicator, so of course that will be a little bit different there. So one of our drivers has left the session. Fun Anywhere is not there anymore. Well, the session has ended. Now, does that mean, well, hopefully it should be a short delay and not a long one, as we've already had a slight delay. And of course, we want to go racing as soon as possible. We've had that fantastic race already for the real life 24 hours of Le Mans. We're going to do a 1 hour 30 minutes, and we're going to replicate the time that it took. And let's update my list, because I'm still waiting here for the lobby to rejoin. Hopefully it will rejoin soon enough. Still waiting. Still waiting for the lobby to set up. There we go. We've got the lobby back up and underway. Now, are we going to go straight into the race, or are we going to redo qualifying? Because, of course, we had a late entrance. I hope that we'll go straight into the race here. We've already had that fantastic qualifying already. So we've got a total of 8 drivers so far. And we've got 3 cameras to choose from. Oh, back out. of the session. I think it's just being set up here to be, well, yes, the room is being set up here. So we've got 7 out of 8 drivers, or possibly 7 out of 9 drivers here before the start of our 90-minute race here. And it looks like we'll go straight into the 90-minute race as well. We've lost another one. Super Vito has dropped out. So let's go back to the race. No, I'm not joining the session. I want to spectate the session here. And it seems to be I think we're just chilling in the pit lane for the time being. Yes, that seems to be the case. We're just spending some time here on board the 919 hybrids. Now, what's happening to the other drivers now that are supposed to be in the session? One driver left, another one is rejoined. Yes, I want to see all of the data, please. There we go. So all the drivers are entering the session now, and hopefully we'll be able to go racing soon. So I don't think we won't be doing any qualifying. I think the drivers are under strict instructions, also no more practice either, because no one appears to have left. Oh, no, never mind. Someone has gone out. I think it's Shami 94. Now, remember, Shami did not participate in our qualifying session early on, and I think I see he's taken inspiration from the 935 Penske Porsches that were racing earlier on today at Le Mans with his very vibrant livery on that car. Bukaran has also decided to exit the pit lane. Our fastest man out there in our qualifying session earlier on by 1.2 seconds to the good was Bukaran. Phantom Shadow was the second fastest, who is, as we said, 1.2 seconds adrift. Was on pole. I see Fun Anywhere and Super Vidu have joined the session, so hopefully we'll be racing in due time. So not long to go now. There's everyone is being informed to enter the session. Just waiting for that one final driver now to join us. So we're just waiting for one driver to enter the session, and then we'll be racing here for 90 minutes. Just waiting for that one final driver, and then we can go racing here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Still showing 8. I think we should have 9 for this race, with our latest entrant being Shami 94, but not in the session. He was briefly here in his 935 inspired 919 hybrid. So we're just waiting for the final entrant here, and then we can get started. It'll be 1.5 hours of racing here. If you just joined us, welcome to round 6 here from Sim Nation India, where we'll be simulating the 24 hours of Le Mans, but not for 24 hours, not for 24 minutes. We'll be doing it in 90 minutes, although 24 minutes would have been an interesting challenge, come to think of it, because then the day-night cycle would have been extremely fast, and the variation of the time and day would have really thrown a curveball, and how fast it would have changed as well would have been quite exciting to see how the drivers would deal with that over the course of 24 minutes. But of course, we'll make it a bit more fair here and do 90 minutes of racing here for our final round. Now, I did see that 9 drivers are in the session, so that means we should be going racing soon once the field has been prepared. Now, we have gone qualifying already. The session did say that it was practice and then going straight into the race. However, I don't know how this is going to work out. I hope that we'll be able to put them in their qualifying orders, because I think Buchanan will be very upset if he doesn't get that pole position. It's his first pole of the entire championship, and it's been a fantastic run for him as well in that C9. And yes, indeed, we have set it up exactly that way. So Buchanan there in the C9 will start on pole position. Alongside him will be Phantom Shadow 07. The Ancient Pleb will line up in 3rd. Race 4 Gaming in 4th, with the Mildest Monk there just on the king of the corner in 5th position. Super Vidu was a bit of a deficit there. He was through the last that corner a little bit further back, but he will start in 6th. Vidvia, then it will be Fun Anywhere, and then at the tail end of the field will be Shami 94. Buchanan will be the first driver to come across the line, and he will start our 6th and final round here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing here, and we're going side by side through the first corner, and that can be quite treacherous here for the drivers. It seems to be the Fan of Shadow is backed out, but he goes wide, and I do apologise if there are some stutters here with the connection, but we'll try our best to keep it as smooth as possible. Buchanan has lost the lead. Phantom Shadow has taken the lead by 1.1 seconds. Buchanan in the C9 has dropped back. Then it is a battle for 3rd. We'll make that 2nd now, because here comes the Ancient Pleb on the inside of Buchanan, but he's picked up a 5/10 of a second penalty. The Wildest Monks also picked up a penalty as well. Here comes Race 4 Gaming. He wants to work his way up the order, up in the 4th position at the moment. Super Vidu as well is on the tail end of all of this. Wildest Monk has got that penalty, as we said before. So is the Ancient Pleb. Super Vidu all over the back of him for the time being. Of course, the Wildest Monk will be forced to slow down at some point. He's not going to do it right now as he works his way through the chicane there for the first time. And it looks like there's a bit of drama going through that corner, but it looks to be everyone's got through cleanly so far. Vidvia is up there in a 7th position. Fun Anywhere into 8th position. He's also conveniently picked up a penalty, and Vidvia's got one now too as well. Xiaomi 94 has not had the start that he would have liked to have after joining us here for the first time this weekend. Way down there, 8.6 seconds adrift already. Buchanan, though, has retaken the lead from Phantom Shadow 07. We didn't quite see where that happened, but here comes Phantom Shadow right up into the back bumper there of Buchanan to try and force an error out of him, but the pole sitter has got back into the lead of the race with the oldest car on the grid, that 1989 Mercedes C9. I think it's a Sauber Mercedes C9. Absolutely phenomenal car to look at. What sports cars used to look like were absolutely incredible. They've now become, they're definitely not monstrosity. They're still pretty much works of art. They're very, very interesting to look at. And here we go, another battle before the race lead here. Buchanan and Phantom Shadow 07 battling it out here in the 2nd part of our first lap here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. And around we go for the first time, relatively incident-free. Well, there's been a few penalties here and there that have already been handed out. Well, there you go, the Ancient Pleb's being slowed down. Now, the good thing is in these sessions is that they're slowed down, but they're also ghosted. So that doesn't mean that if the driver is forced to slow down in front of you, you're going to go right to the back of them. Instead, they kind of go into that ghost road, and you can kind of just go through them. That is concerning. You know, it makes it kind of easy then for the driver just to overtake and not think about having to brake or go around the outside. As again, we have this fantastic battle here for the lead, separated by 0.2 of a second at that time through. And here we go, we'll be going across the line for the first time to complete our first lap here, as these two are pushing it as far as they can, all four tyres there off the track. And it looks like Phantom Shadow giving a slight tap there to the Sauber Mercedes. to still inform him that he's still there and he's not going to make this victory much that easy. Now remember, and off goes Bukaran there, by the looks of it, kind of lost it there going through the corner, and then Phantom Shadow goes back up into the lead of the race here. So he successfully leads lap 1. We've got a car off in the background. That looked like Vidvia, who was off through the final corner. Phantom Shadow leads by 6/10 of a second. Now, was that Race 4 Gaming that ran wide through there? Now with these connection issues, it's a little bit difficult to figure out if they've run wide or that's just them with their connection just moving all over the place. And well, Phantom Shadow leads by 2.3 seconds. Bukaran has had a real issue here, and that is the furthest back he's dropped so far, and he's under pressure from both Race 4 Gaming and the Ancient Pleb here, as they're going to go side by side down the Mulsanne straight here for the second time. Through the right-hander they go, and up towards that first chicane. Race 4 Gaming picks up the toe and then moves to the outside of the Ancient Pleb. He'll have the outside line going through into the first chicane here. So the Ancient Pleb will have the inside line, but better yet, it will go the other way around, because through goes the Ancient Pleb. Looks like Razor's on the brakes a little bit later in comparison, but it will stay with him to see if he can retake that position away and make his way back up into the top 3. So Bukaran has retaken the lead, so it seems to be on those straightaways that C9 is a lot quicker compared to the hybrids, because the same thing happened on the first lap. Bukaran lost it in sector 1 to the 919 hybrid of Phantom Shadow 07, but then when it came to the back straight of the Mulsanne, it was Bukaran that got back round. So it seems to me that's really helping him out there on the medium compound tyres. Phantom Shadow's also on the mediums. I think everyone's actually on the mediums. No, the Ancient Pleb is on softs, so he's going to have to come in a lot earlier. Battle for the lead again. Phantom Shadow retakes the lead here around Circuit de la Sarthe. Here's Super Vidu. The Wildest Monks drop back. Vidvia working his way up the order. He's picked up yet another penalty here, so he's 5/10 of a second. He'll have to slow down by Fun Anywhere in the Toyota, struggling here in the TS050, and down in 8th position, but ahead of Shami 94, who is unfortunately at the tail end of the field. In his first appearance here in our Sim Nation India Championship. This is the last race of said championship. Interesting enough, he's not used his hybrid system at all. A lot of the other drivers have already used up a lot of their hybrid systems on the opening laps, but Shami 94 appears to not have used his at all, and is actually burning more fuel at the moment. So 1 second is the gap up front between Phantom Shadow 07 and Bukaran. Those are your top 2 for the time being. Then it's 4/10 of a second back to Race 4 Gaming, and is followed by the Ancient Pleb, who are battling for 3rd, but actually they're battling now for 2nd at the moment with Bukaran as well. So the battle is on here. The Race 4 Gaming drops back. The Ancient Pleb now all over the back of Bukaran here. In the C9 as the fastest car in qualifying. And those mediums seem to be holding up pretty well compared to the softs, although the softs not falling off as fast as I thought they would be. It seems to be the 919 hybrid is quite conservative with those tyres. Through up on the inside goes the Ancient Pleb, moves up in a 2nd position, moving the C9 down into 3rd place on lap number 3. So unfortunately for Bukaran, he's going backwards with the non-hybrid car, but there he is, much quicker on that back straight of the Mulsanne as he works his way towards that first chicane, and it appears to be that's where he is dominant in that car and really comes to life. But of course he'd like to be catching up to the race leader, which he's doing, down towards the first of the 2 chicanes there on the Mulsanne straight. And it looks like Buchanan has gone a second faster than Phantom Shadow's time. I remember 3:22 during qualifying. The Phantom Shadow did a 1:24 in qualifying. And, well, Buchanan is in hot pursuit of that lead. He wants it back here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, as he starts to build a gap between himself and the Ancient Pleb and Race 4 Gaming, who are battling behind him. 1/9 of a second quicker this time round through that sector, as he continues to claw back some time, although he did lose quite a fair bit of time through that second chicane on our race leader. Oh, and his Phantom Shadow got a problem there. No, that was just a connection issue when he was facing the wall there, which was quite interesting. But again, these two here, Race 4 Gaming and the Ancient Player, sharing that third place. It's going to take a while to sort out who will be where of these two, as it appears they cannot figure it out either here in the opening stages of this race. Remember, 90 minutes of racing here. It can't be won in the first 10 minutes of the race. It certainly can be lost, though, in the first 10 minutes of the race, as race 4 has gone 1.4 seconds faster. It seems to be there's quite a connection issue here that I'm having, so I do apologise for the pictures that you're seeing. The racing, I promise you, is not this dirty. The drivers are usually relatively clean. But here we go, battle for second between Buchanan, Race 4 Gaming, and of course the Ancient Pleb, who are 5.2 seconds up the road from this man right here. He'd love to be in the thick of things here as well, but of course all of this is allowing Phantom Shadow to escape up the road. Now you may notice the headlights are getting a bit brighter. The sun in the sky is dipping. It's getting a bit darker here as well, because of course we have the time sped up to simulate 24 hours of racing here around Le Mans. So we're fast approaching night time here, which adds that extra challenge for the drivers. Of course, we haven't turned off rain. We haven't turned off the weather either, as the Ancient Pleb picks up a penalty. He has to slow down by 0.5 of a second as Buchanan drops down to third here, but then round the outside he goes, and he'll retake second here through the Dunlop curves. Up he goes underneath the Dunlop bridge, and through into the first sector here. Chamois 94, unfortunately not faring too well here in this race. Quite far behind, but an interesting strategy though he's playing out here. He's not obviously pushing his tyres as hard as others are, although he is a minute off of the current pace of the rest of the field. So unless the field have a traumatic experience somewhere in the pit lane, Chamois 94 won't be in contention here for a podium unless he starts applying the pressure here and going for it. Now, I do apologise, he's not a minute behind. He's actually 30 seconds off of the pace. Fun Anywhere, currently circulating in 8th position, but unusual to see him this far down the order. 36 seconds adrift from the race leader, 13.8 seconds behind his closest rival of Vidvia, the only Toyota in the field. That is the TS050 Toyota Hybrid as well. Will have to come into the pit lane soon enough, because those soft tyre compound will last for about 2 laps, maybe 3 at a stretch here. They might push it all the way till that fuel tank goes empty before they decide to come into the pit lane. As we're now into darkness, and you can just see how dark it is down the Mulsanne straight. Oh, a 1.5 second penalty there for Vidvia. What's he done? He must have cut the corner or cut a chicane there by the looks of it, because that is quite a significant penalty. Let's go a bit further up the field though with the Wildest Monk, who is 4.2 seconds up the road. Sorry, 8.7 seconds, excuse me, 4.9 seconds back from Super Vidu. And nursing those medium compound tyres here to ensure that they last as long as possible, so that he does need to come in as early as he'd like to. Buchanan has now dropped to 4th at the moment. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen. We've got a battle now between these two, Super Vito and Bukaran. It seems to be the nighttime is not played in the hands here of Bukaran whatsoever. He's lost heaps of time here, and he's dropped in the clutches of 5th place. He's lost out to the Ancient Pleb and Race 4 Gaming, who have both moved their way up the order and now starting to put a decent-sized gap between themselves and Bukaran. And it seems to be that Sauber is really using up those medium compound tyres quite a fair bit. He's starting to lose a lot of grip there in that right rear tyre here around the Circuit de la Staff. We've successfully completed 10 minutes of racing, but that's nowhere near the end of the race. Remember, with 90 minutes of racing here, we've only elapsed about... Oh, Bukaran spins round, and I fear he's lost too much grip on those rear tyres. Just as soon as he puts any power down, that's it. Unfortunately, those tyres are just going to skate him off into the barrier, and that's very unfortunate. He's not been able to get that car turned around whatsoever, and he's losing heaps of time and heaps of position as well. And unfortunately for him as well, he has just missed the entrance to the pit lane, so it's not like he can go back in there, and he's got a lot of damage to that front end as well. It's glowing red on that bottom left-hand graphic, so a lot of damage there to that front end of the Sauber, and that's not going to be good for Aero at all, as our pole sitter now down in 7th position overall. Very, very unfortunate there for Bukaran. Fun Anywhere tailing him by 12 seconds, and he's a minute ahead of Xiaomi 94. But let's go back up with the race leader, who's picked up a 0.5 of a second penalty that he'll be forced to slow down. 3.2 seconds is Race 4 Gaming. He's not that far back, actually. I thought he was a little bit further behind, but it looks like he's about a straightaway or so. You can just see the headlights ablaze, and there's that dark patch between the two of them, and then that is the gap. It's 2.3 seconds between them. Remember, no tuning, no nitrous oxide either available in this race, so the drivers have not tuned the cars to their liking. They're completely stock. The only thing, of course, they can do is add... they can't add tyres, they have to change tyres. They can't add 4 extra tyres. Of course, it'd give them a lot more grip, but unfortunately, they can't add 4 more sets of tyres, 4 tyres, to their car when they're circulating around. They'll have to come into the pit lane and change those tyres, and it looks to be, with those medium compound tyres falling off at the moment, Phantom Shadow now struggling. 2.3 seconds to this man right here, who seems to be a little bit more conservative with those tyres. As he's on the mediums. The Ancient Pleb, though, on the softs. I don't think he'll be able to do another lap. I think he might have to come in this time round, be very brave if he goes around one more time with that right rear. Sorry, left rear this time. Right rear was at Daytona. Left rear seems to be here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and he'll be forced to slow down through this penalty line. And he'll lose some more time to Race 4 Gaming. Super Vidu faring pretty well there on the mediums. Halfway through his fuel tank, he'll have to come in. The Wildest Monk will also have to come in as well. Actually, he's faring a little bit better, actually, with his medium compound tyres. Vidvia will have to come in sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in this time round to do a tyre change and grab as much fuel as possible. Bukaran will definitely have to come in this time round. If he does one more lap on those tyres, well, we've already seen that he's lost significant time due to that spin on the previous lap, and that's cost him quite a fair bit of time. Remember, he was the man who was fastest of all, pole sitter, by over 30 seconds across the field. That he did. He was 1.2 seconds faster at the line than second place was. And then, of course, it's Phantom Shadow. The Ancient Pleb is in the pit lane, so our first taker there, and he's out as well. Loses out to Super Vidu, who decides to stay out, but I think this man right here, Bukaran, will be the second, no, he won't, he'll be the third man possibly to come in the pit lane as the Ancient Pleb is in. And Bukaran is in to put on those medium compound tyres. Vidvia is also in as well. So it seems to be the C9 is using up the medium compound tyres as fast as the hybrids are using up the softs. So that is not good there for Bukaran. as he's going to have to do an additional pit stop compared to the rest of the field. Fun Anywhere has come into the pit lane as well. And Xiaomi 94, he's nursing those tyres pretty well. So pit lane getting quite busy here as Bukaran has set out. Fun Anywhere is currently still in the pit lane. I don't think Xiaomi 94 will be in the pit lane anytime soon, but Race 4 Gaming has taken the lead. What has happened to Phantom Shadow? Is he struggling on those tyres? Well, it seems to be wear and tear on those tyres are evenly matched between these two, so he's had it off somewhere, or he's been penalised and been forced to slow down, because that gap was over 2 seconds not too long ago. Now it is 2/10 of a second in the favour of Race 4 Gaming, and well, he's taken the lead as Phantom Shadow spins through the corner, and that is not what he needed at all. And now Race 4 Gaming escapes up the road, races off into the darkness away from Phantom Shadow as we fast approach 20 minutes. It's been quite an interesting 10 minutes as well, since our first 10 minutes went by relatively incident free. We've seen at least 2 spins, one from Bukaran where he was spinning all over the place near the entrance to the pit lane. We've seen Phantom Shadow now have a short spin into the wall. But soldiers on now around the Circuit de la Sarthe. 2.8 seconds to the good is Race 4 Gaming's lead. 20 minutes of racing successfully completed here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. It is now pitch black around the circuit, which adds that extra element here. Now, the only thing that will make it even more interesting if it starts raining, of course, a damp track will make things very, very fun indeed. Now, of course, the drivers have been told that weather is a factor, and they'll have to keep an eye out on that weather radar that they have to ensure that they are ready for the rain. It doesn't catch them out by surprise. Supervidu now will take the lead here of the race. He has stayed out now for another lap around the French circuit. He will take the lead away from Race 4 Gaming. So Phantom Shadow is in the pit lane. Race 4 and the Wildest Monk are all in the pit lane, coming in from first through fourth. Now, is that some rain that was descending? Yes, it is. The rain has come out, so that was mighty fast, wasn't it? So this is going to throw the spanner in the works. Will the drivers continue on the medium compact tyres? Well, Race 4 Gaming has gone onto the intermediates here, so he's been watching that map like a hawk. He has played it to perfection, so he's got the intermediates on. Phantom Shadow goes on the intermediates as well. Will the Wildest Monk follow in the Ancient Pleb? I presume they would, now that the rain is pouring. This is not good news for drivers like Vidvia, Bukaran and Fun Anywhere, who have already done a pit stop. They will have to come in and put on intermediates or wets. The Wildest Monk goes on intermediates as well, as Vidvia is into the pit lane, who will go from the softs presumably to the intermediates, but that's going to give him an extra pit stop, although he'll have a fresher set of tyres and possibly more fuel in the tank as well. He will have to, well, he's losing time, isn't he? He's just had those softs put on as well. And he hasn't burned that much fuel. Bukaran is in as well. He's on the hard compound tyres. He's barely worn them in at all. And he will come in and presumably go on the inters as well. Fun Anywhere dives into the pit lane. Xiaomi 94 will follow suit, although he's taking it very cautiously at the moment. And there you go. That's how treacherous it is at night time with the rain falling. Around goes Xiaomi 94. And Race 4 Gaming has dropped. He's been disconnected from the session, and unfortunately he's not completed 50% of the race distance. That is very unfortunate for our race leader from earlier on. And, well, the rain has come, and unfortunately it has disconnected him from the session, as Xiaomi 94 really struggling there with the slicks on As you can see here, Super Vito has slowed right down to just 90 kilometers an hour. A little bit faster through this on the straightaway, but he's got to be very, very careful as Phantom Shadow loses out as well in the rain, catching him out on the intermediates. So maybe not enough grip provided from those intermediates, and he's got front end damage as well as Phantom Shadow, so he'll have to repair that at some point. Yellow flag is waving there. I think that's for Shami 94, who is off in the corner by the looks of it. Yes, he is. Oh no, Super Vito that's gone round. The race leader has spun at the corner at the end of the Mulsanne straight. It seems to be the weather has spiced things up dramatically here around the Circuit de la Sarthe here. Going absolutely crazy at the moment. The weather has really done it. So the rain falls here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and it has made things extremely interesting here around the French circuit. We've lost another driver, and I think it's Shami 94 we've lost. Indeed it is. Unfortunately, Shami 94 disconnected from the session here, as we haven't even approached the third part of the third race distance of this 90-minute race. The rain has fallen here in the middle of the night, and it has caused chaos here for the driver. Super Vito was not able to recover at all and has dropped down to 4th position. Phantom Shadow leads by 18.7 seconds. The Wildest Monk is 17.6 seconds ahead of the Ancient Pleb, who in turn is 5.2 seconds up from Super Vito, who was the race leader not too long ago. Vidvia 21 seconds adrift. Bukaram is down in 6th position at the moment. He's 27.3 seconds behind Vidvia and 19.8 seconds from Bukaram. Fun Anywhere, the last man circulating at the moment. He is 18.3 seconds behind. 1 minute and 44 seconds behind, actually, from Phantom Shadow 07. 19.5 seconds at the moment. The race lead as he spins round after the Dunlop corners and up there, or the Dunlop chicane, excuse me, and underneath the bridge, Phantom Shadow loses grip and goes round. He picks up a penalty of 1.5 seconds. He's going to have to slow down as it looks like the rain has stopped, but of course the racetrack is wet. It is still very wet here. The drivers will not be able to change the slicks just yet. They're going to have to wait for the track to dry up, wait for a dry line to form, and then they can go back on the slicks. But of course, with it being wet like it is right now, the drivers will have to wait. Super Vito, now that explains why he spun. He was on the medium compound tyres. He would go on to, well, let's see if you go on to the intermediates. With the rain having subsided here, can't quite see the compound on those tyres from here, but they do look slick, and I think those are the hards that he will go on. No, they are not hard compound tyres. Let's watch the pit stop here and see what tyre compound he will be using. As fuel goes in and out he goes, and he's on the intermediate tyre there with a quarter tank of fuel. So Super Vito looking to claw back some time after leading the race not too long ago, drops down to 6th position. Should have taken fuel on board there with that car, but he decided not to. Now, is that a dry line that's forming on track? No, it can't be, because we don't have that many cars running. So it won't be a dry line just yet. It will take some time for all that water to dissipate off the track as we fast approach that 1/3 race distance. Unfortunately, we've lost 2 drivers already. Shami 94 and Race 4 Gaming have unfortunately disconnected from the session, and it's very unfortunate for both of them because they did not reach 50% of the race distance, so unfortunately they will not get any points here at the Circuit de la Sarthe in round 6 here from Sim Nation India. Track looks, well, it looks to be drying up here, although there's quite a bit of spray further up through the chicane. It certainly is still pretty wet there as Fun Anywhere tries to close in on Super Vida, but let's go back with the race leader, who is now being forced to slow down by 1.5 seconds. 5 seconds to the good so far over the second driver there, the Wildest Monk. And there he is, and he will be coming hard and fast here. Down to 2.5 seconds is the gap, and that forced slowdown really slowed down Phantom Shadow, as it now seems to be parts of the track now are starting to dry up, so I think we'll be diving into the pit lane soon enough. Still a bit of spray being kicked up there through the final few corners of the racetrack here as we fast approach 30 minutes of racing completed. And it certainly hasn't been drama-free. The rain certainly caught out each and every one of our drivers here, as Phantom Shadow does not go into the pit lane, so it's still too wet to hop onto a slick compound tyre. So we'll stay on the wets for now, or sorry, the intermediates for now. They'll provide sufficient grip. Now, of course, they won't fall off as fast as the wets will once we get back up to full racing speed. The intermediates do provide enough grip, but of course much better to have a slick compound tyre underneath you rather than the treaded intermediates, excuse me. So through the Dunlop chicane we've gone underneath the Dunlop bridge. We're now on lap number 9 here, as Raceful Gaming has rejoined the session, but unfortunately will not be able to rejoin the race. Xiaomi 94 unfortunately leaving the session as well, as we have successfully completed 1/3 race distance here around Circuit de la Sarthe. So it is Phantom Shadow out in front. He is followed by, of course, the Wildest Monk and then the Ancient Pleb. However, Phantom Shadow has picked up a penalty here. He's 3.8 seconds up the road in his Porsche 919 Hybrid, ahead of the Ancient Pleb, sorry, the Wildest Monk and the Ancient Pleb. Those are your top 3. Vidvia, Bukaran are pole sitter down in 5th position. Super Vidu is 6th, and Fun Anywhere at the tail end of the field, almost close to 2 minutes back actually from the rest of the field. 1 minute 25, and interesting enough, Fun Anywhere has come into the pit lane. So what compound tyre will this man right here put on? Well, will he put on a pair of slicks? Those certainly do look like slick tyres, but then we were also caught out last time out, and it looks like Fun Anywhere went on the wets. Now, will he change to a pair of intermediates? Well, there's certainly tread on those tyres, so I think he'll be switching to a pair of intermediates. So that means, well, the rain has certainly thrown the pit stops out the window. So what we thought would only be 1 or 2 pit stops has turned out to be quite a fair few more pit stops. And those are those intermediate tyres that have gone on, refueling underway. It's a good idea to put as much fuel as possible in the car. And out he goes, and he goes on the medium compound tyre. Now that's interesting because it looked like there was tread. Ow, and 3-second penalty and a spin right out of the pit lane as well. Now, why has he picked up a 3-second penalty? Was he too fast exiting his pit box? Now, Fun Anywhere desperately needs to find that dry line, or else he's going to have a real problem here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. And of course, swapping over to that medium compound tyre, he's looking for that advantage, trying to get that undercut on the rest of the field, because of course he's banking that they'll have to all come in, but he's at such a deficit at the moment. He's 2 minutes behind our race leader, a minute behind Bukaran, and he's spun again on the entrance to the Mulsanne Straight, as Bukaran goes round and he loses more time to our race leader, Phantom Shadow, who is now 6 seconds up the road from the Wildest Monk. And there he is at the moment. The Ancient Pleb closing in. He's 5.9 seconds behind, 20.7 seconds at the moment. Well, that's actually gone up to this man right here, who's being forced to slow down. And there he is. Super Vidu has that penalty of 5/10 of a second. He's 29 seconds back, but more importantly, 19 seconds up the road here from Bukaran, who's got a 1.5 second penalty. And Fun Anywhere really struggling on those medium compound tyres. You see, with the sheer amount of cars that we don't have on the track, dryline just doesn't form as fast as the Fun Anywhere would like to have happened. And unfortunately, with those medium compound tyres, he's going to really struggle for grip, because that track, the track we're on right now, is still very, very slippery with that rainfall. It seemed like a brief rainfall, but of course, with the time sped up by, was it 19, I think it was, or 16, we're replicating what it's like to do a full 24-hour race, so the full day-night cycle, along with the weather that is joining us as Vidvia now into the pit lane after circulating on the wets. I had a feeling he was on the intermediates. Does that mean he came in again to do a pit stop that we didn't quite see? And of course, with this rapid day-night cycle, it really spices things up. It makes things very, very interesting, because of course it's not just a race during the daytime, right? Or it's not a short transition from day to night. It is the full 24-hour experience condensed into just 90 minutes of racing here around Le Mans. Super Vidu now into the pit lane as well. Well, he's run out of fuel, Super Vidu, so he'll be topping up. Now, Bukaran has come in as well. Now, what tyre compound is Vidvia on? He's gone on to the mediums as well, so he thinks that it's drying out there enough for him. Well, he's picked up a 3-second penalty, so the same thing that happened to Fun Anywhere has happened to Vidvia. Bukaran, I wonder if he'll be going on to the medium compound tyres. Still got that damaged front end. Medium tyre compound there. And Bukaran has also picked up that 3-second penalty. Super Vidu has gone on to the softs, so it appears that there is some sort of dry line forming here that the drivers can see, but I can't. I do see that the track is starting to dry up, so that means this man right here, Phantom Shadow, will have to come in and do a pit lane and swap his tyres for a set of slicks. As we continue on here, so we've elapsed the first third of the race. It has been quite an experience so far, with the rain playing the key factor here. As you see the Wildest Monk briefly going off in the background, but manages to keep it all in the straight line. And it looks like we're just about to enter the next day of racing here around, as the sun now begins to rise around the Circuit de la Sarthe. It's that early morning sunset here which illuminates the racetrack, but of course there's that point in time where the sun really hangs a bit low in the sky and it just glints in your eyes, and it makes things a little bit easy, can really catch you out. And I'm feeling the Phantom Shadow will go into the pit lane. When he's picked up a penalty, he does not go into the pit lane, so he will stay out for a bit extra. So it seems to be Phantom Shadow thinks it's a bit too wet to go back onto the slick compound tyres. So he will stay out for a little bit longer compared to the others who decided to come in a lot earlier. Now, I wonder if this will play into his favour, as the Wildest Monk has also stayed on the intermediates, as has the Ancient Pleb. Vidvia is on the medium compound tyres, and he's just been forced to slow down. Super Vidu is on the softs. Bukaran has a 6-second penalty now, not 3 seconds. So that will really force him to slow down quite a fair bit when he hits that penalty zone, as he's through down to the second chicane. And Fun Anywhere, who is 4.8 seconds back, or he's 2.5 seconds, sorry, he's 2 minutes and 50 seconds back from the race lead. And you can see on the track map in the top right hand of your screen, the race leaders are the 2 blue arrows, or better yet the 3 blue arrows actually, because they're all in quite close proximity going through that chicane, and the first chicane, as Fun Anywhere is now just about to approach the final corner on the back end of the Mulsanne straight here. So Bukaran has gone around again, unfortunately. Really struggling. Super Vidu has a disconnection issue, and he was just 7 minutes away from half race distance, and that is rather unfortunate. We're down now to just 6 drivers as Bukaran, they're really struggling to get back onto the race tarmac. Phantom Shadows picked up a 2nd penalty. And by that I mean he's picked up a 1-second penalty. I think he's had a penalty before, and I don't think this is a 2nd penalty. I think he's had multiple penalties so far. The ancient player's got a penalty as well, and he's under pressure at the moment from the Wildest Monk. Separated by 0.3 of a second at the moment of these two here. And what's going to happen now to the rest of the field? It's a race of attrition at the moment, but it's not really a mechanical issue. It's more of a disconnection, a technological issue, shall we say here. That is, unfortunately, cutting the field down. We've lost Race for Gaming, we've lost Xiaomi 94, and we've also lost Super Vidu. Phantom Shadow, the ancient player with the Wildest Monkey are top 3, but for how much longer will that top 3 stay the way it is as we fast approach the 45-minute mark, and we'll be 5 minutes away from the halfway point. So the ancient player is forced now to slow down. This will give the advantage to the Wildest Monk as the ancient pleb saves it through the corner there, almost lost it. As the Wildest Monk goes off track there. Bukaran forced to slow down quite significantly there, actually. And actually it looked like ghosting was not off. As Bukaran now officially is a lap down to our top 3 drivers. I don't think he was expecting that. Remember, he was our pole sitter and he's really struggled here. He was fighting it out with Phantom Shadow, the Wildest Monk, and the Ancient Pleb on the opening stages, and when the night time came, things took a turn for the worst for our pole sitter, and when the rain began to fall, it just got even worse for him, as both the Wildest Monk and the Ancient Pleb come in. Phantom Shadow is also into the pit lane, so our top 3 who are left on the intermediate tyres will go back onto the slick racing surfaces here. Now that means that Bukaran will get his lap back, so no longer a lap down. He is at the tail end of the field, but quite a ways back. Of course, he'll claw back some time here. Now he just needs to find that qualifying pace again, where he was 1.2 seconds faster than the rest of the field. And if he can claw back all that time that he lost, that'll be absolutely fantastic news for him. But of course, he'll have to come in and do a pit stop, because of course he will need to top up on fuel. A little bit faring a bit better here on the medium compound tyres at the moment as Phantom Shadow goes onto the softs. We'll go back into the lead of the race. The Wildest Monk goes on the medium compound tyre. And what does the Ancient Pleb go on? Well, he also goes out on the medium compound tyres. The Wildest Monk has picked up a penalty, and Phantom Shadow has not. So I have a feeling, now we just joined the Wildest Monk as he was exiting the pit lane, and I wonder if it's for cutting the blend line there, because of course there is a bit of a gap between the racing track itself and the pit lane. Now I wonder if he just cut across too early, and that's the reason we've got a yellow flag waving for some reason through that first sector. Now no one has gone off, with the green flag was in hand and now it's vanished. But another driver picking up another 3-second penalty. Well, now it's gone up to 3.5 seconds. Apologies there. My microphone decided it wanted to disconnect. Well, it's a good thing that it wasn't the connection itself. The microphone decided that it would disconnect itself. So that's all been sorted out. So the Wildest Monk in second position, unfortunately, has that penalty. Phantom Shadow now up behind Bukaran, who is still struggling out there. And now we'll go a lap down for the second time. Just got that lap back as Phantom Shadow and the top three were making their way into the pit lane. But unfortunately for Bukaran, it just hasn't played out in his favour at all. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's just been downhill since the very beginning of the race. He was fighting it up there with the top three for a podium finishing position and of course the overall victory, but unfortunately when as you said, when the night time came, the rain decided to fall as well. That's where things just took a turn for the worst for him, and he's really struggling here in that C9. Fastest man out there was Race 4 Gaming, a 3:24.870, but unfortunately no longer in the session here in our sixth and final round here for Simnation India of the championship. We're about a minute away from starting the second half of the race. So 6 drivers left out of a total of 9 drivers we had at the very beginning of this race, almost 45 minutes ago. The Phantom Shadow 07 is the man to beat, and he has been since, not since the get-go, but he's certainly been the one to beat since the early stages of the race. It's been quite tough to stay with him for a lot of the drivers, but they have managed to do so. Well, 10 seconds is the current gap between Phantom Shadow 07 and the Wildest Monk, and we've officially elapsed now half race distance. So for anybody who has an unfortunate disconnection, they will receive points where they finish at the time of disconnection. Now, that makes things very interesting. So, for example, what if you're the leader and you disconnect? Does that mean you get the full points? But then does that mean 2 drivers get full points? Because what if whoever at the end of the session does finish the race without disconnecting, that means then 2 drivers will get full points, essentially, which kind of makes things a bit interesting there with the championship standings, as Phantom Shadow picks up yet another penalty here I think that's for cutting the track. And it seems to be a lot of drivers always picking up at the same place. It's sort of that corner just before entering the Mulsanne straight. And Phantom Shadow has had a problem in the first of the chicanes, and he's gone straight into the wall, and Bukaran, well, is almost about to get his lap back, and, well, the Wildest Monk, the gap has come right down again. It was 12 seconds between Phantom Shadow and the Wildest Monk. Has come right down now to 3.2 seconds, and for the Wildest Monk, of course, he had the benefit of having Bukaran right there, and Bukaran has just unlapped himself again here in going into the second chicane. So he's back up onto the lead lap, but Phantom Shadow puts him a lap down again here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. Can Bukaran get through again and retake the position? Yes, he does. He's back on the lead lap, but for how much longer? Well, Phantom Shadow will be forced to slow down to the next marker as he looks on the inside of Bukaran. As the two lean on one another, making their way through the corner. As they continue on here, Bukaran just looking for an opportunity, just desperately trying to stay on the lead lap here, and he's going to go around again and unlaps himself. Now, if only this was the fight for the lead, And now Phantom Shadow will be forced to slow down at the next penalty line, which will give Bukaran a bit of breathing room here. But again, Bukaran has really struggled here today. Not during qualifying, he's certainly set the field up during that session. And unfortunately now we'll go behind the Wildest Monk, as that gap now is 7/10 of a second between the two of them. Separated at the front, and Bukaran there moves out of the way to not impede the Wildest Monk, to allow him to continue on up the road. And in hot pursuit of our our leader, and the gap builds once again to 1.5 seconds separating our top two. So there is Bukaran at the moment, just settling behind our two leaders. Should really try and stay with them as much as possible to try and get that lap back again. Certainly fighting for all it's worth is Bukaran, but really struggling. This man right here, though, Fun Anywhere, he was struggling in the wets. He went around as well in the early stages. And unfortunately for him, he missed the entrance to the pit lane as well. So if it was a problem with the tyres, he could have just gone in and changed those tyres. But unfortunately, he was round and has managed now to climb his way back up into the top 5. Vidvia circulating in 4th position. Relatively incident-free for Vidvia here at the moment. He's not really been locked in any battle so far. Quietly working his way around as he goes off through the final corner. Brings a lot of gravel onto the circuit. But currently circulating 4th. He's 33.6 seconds behind the Ancient Pleb and a minute and 40 seconds back, ahead of Fun Anywhere. Then the Ancient Pleb currently running in 3rd place overall. He is 12 seconds adrift from our race leader, 9 seconds back from the Wildest Monk, who has picked up a penalty here of 5/10 of a second. Yes, that penalty that he has to be applied as we successfully elapsed now 50 minutes of racing. We've lost 3 drivers due to disconnection issues. Race 4 Gaming, the fastest man out there, who still hasn't been beaten yet. Unfortunately, no additional time there for additional points for a fastest lap. We've lost Super Vidu, and we've lost Shami 94 as well, who are no longer in the session with us, and unfortunately they dropped out before we approached that halfway distance. So unfortunately for them, no points will be awarded to their tally at all. So we continue on with less than 40 minutes left on the clock. As the Wildest Monk now being forced to slow down, as here comes Bukaran again, wanting to get that lap back. So when it comes to the Mulsanne straight, that is where he picks up the most of the speed, and that's where he starts to claw back some time. But Phantom Shadow, again now sort of extending his lead out there, now up to 5.2 seconds to the good. So we're now into the official part of the second half of the race. We've elapsed 45 minutes of racing, and it's been quite interesting. We've had, obviously, the transition from day to night. We've had rain, and then we've had the transition from night to day. And now we're, of course, now racing to the end here of our 90-minute race. 1 hour and 30 minutes in total of racing here around the Circuit de la Sarthe here in Le Mans. But, of course, we're racing on Gran Turismo 7 with the Class 1 cars here. No tuning, no NOS, so there's no no opportunity here for the drivers to set up the tune of how they would like it to be, so they've had to use a bone stock setup for these cars, and well, they just had to got used to it. And then of course it seems to be Phantom Shadow 07, as he's done in the previous round, has gelled the best with his car here around the French circuit, leading by 6.6 seconds to the good so far. Phantom Shadow over the Wildest Monk at the moment. He is in turn 6.1 seconds up the road from the Ancient Pleb. And those are your top three as Bukaran is into the pit lane. He will top up his fuel tank, and then he will go on to a new set of medium compound tyres. So decided to continue on with the mediums, and a full load of fuel as well. Now I think that is, I have a feeling that's his fourth or fifth pit stop at the moment. It doesn't say on the side of the screen when they came in. Apologies, the mic decided as well that he wanted to have a look at what pit lane looked like as well. Now it seems to be, I don't think we're going to get any more rain here at Le Mans. I think it'll be sunny skies all the way through here to the end of the race, with the sole Toyota, the TS050 here of Fun Anywhere, circulating inside the top 5, but unfortunately 2.34 seconds back now from Phantom Shadow. Now our race leader has exited the Mulsanne straight and is making his way now through the second part of the track, and edges closer here. So only one car currently a lap down, that is Bukaran, our pole sitter, unfortunately, who has gone a full lap down. He has taken it back multiple times, but unfortunately has not been able to stay now on the lead lap of the race here. We have completed 14 laps here for Fun Anywhere around the Circuit de la Sarthe. We've completed 40, yes, we're on lap 15 now though for Phantom Shadow 07. Of course, Fun Anywhere is still on the lead lap. He's just gone across the line as well, hasn't he? Because now the race leader is working his way through the final corners, and he'll go on now to lap number 16 here around the picturesque French circuit. What a race it's been so far, though, for Phantom Shadow 07. Had a bit of an issue in the wet during the night time, but with the sun shining out there for him, it's been quite comfortable for the Indian driver as he works his way out of the Dunlop curves and now works his way towards the Mulsanne straight here with the two chicanes. And he looks to be on a quick lap here. He's gone 0.5 of a second faster, and he's purple this time round. So will this be the lap time to beat Race 4 Gaming here at Le Mans? Race 4 did that lap time very early on in the session. But what can Phantom Shadow do here? Can he go quickest of all? Well, let's stay with him. And why don't we jump on board and see what it's like to go down the Mulsanne straight here at over 200 miles per hour. We'll get up to, I think. Well, we're over 200 kilometers an hour, I know that. Maybe my maths isn't that good. I don't think we'll actually get to... No, we won't. We're edging at 180 miles per hour, so we're edging close to the 300 mile per hour mark. Through the second of the chicanes we go there through with Phantom Shadow, and again he's on a very quick lap here as we work our way through now into sixth gear up to almost 180 miles per hour. It's almost 290 kilometers an hour. heavy into the braking zone and into the right-hander again. Try to keep it as nice and clean as possible, using as much of the curb as he can. Well, he's 0.2 of a second faster, but he's not gone purple through that sector, which is unfortunate, but maybe he can gain some more time now here in the second part of the track. As we continue on board here with the race leader through now into the final part of the track. 0.1 of a second faster this time through that sector. No penalty though to be applied, so he doesn't have to automatically slow down. So this will be an improvement on lap time, but it won't be enough to beat Race 4 Gaming. Can't quite see what his fastest lap of the race is so far for our race leader, but clear blue skies ahead of him. 14.6 seconds ahead of his closest rival. So he works his way there through those incredibly fast corners, well over 150 miles per hour. Through them, and now heavy into the braking zone, left, right, and left, right again. And what will it be across the line? Will it be purple? And will he dip into the 324s? He does. A 324.920. That puts him 0.05 of a second slower than Race 4 Gaming's quickest time that was set in the early stages of the race. We're fast approaching the end of the second third of this race, or 2/3 race distance completed here. We're working on time, not laps. And it looks to be going purple again through that first sector is Phantom Shadow. Can he best Race 4 though before the end of this race? We're going to have to wait and see what he can do. Again, up in the 6th gear. Don't think we'll get to that 200 mile per hour mark. As through the first chicane he goes on the Mulsanne straight, and all the way spearheading his way down towards that second chicane. And it'll be interesting to see if he's gained any more time. I think that was red this time, so unfortunately no time gained through that sector, which is very, very unfortunate here for him. But of course he's got, well, half an hour to go quick again. So it should be enough time for at least 9 more laps. We're on lap number 17 here at Circuit de la Sarthe. If you just joined us, hello and welcome to round 6 here of Sim Nation India. This is our 6th and final round of the championship. It's been quite an interesting one with different challenges and variations to keep things interesting week in and week out. The past 2 have been more focused on the tarmac side of things, where we raced around, where were we racing last time out? We were racing around Spain, weren't we? Yes, the Circuit de Catalunya, where things got a little bit interesting. Today we're racing around the iconic Le Mans circuit, the Circuit de la Sarthe, the full circuit as well. But when the championship started, we raced in Bathurst, thundering our way round the mountain in the Nissan GTR. His Phantom Shadow gets a bit squirrely there through the corner, and that will slow him right down. But we went dirt racing, we did some drag racing as well. We raced on the special stage route as well, where if you are not a part of the pack, you will not be anywhere in contention for a victory. And of course you can win that race at the tail end of that pack, because of course you can get the drive that you need to be up and there battling with the race leader. And of course that makes things nice and easy. Going back to the drag racing side of things, now of course with drag racing, there is no drag racing setting in GT7. So we set it up ourselves. And, well, things were quite interesting. We did separate heat races. Of course, you can watch all of the action. You can rewatch it on the Simulation India YouTube channel. As Fun Anywhere has come into the pit lane with 3% of his fuel tank remaining. So cut it pretty close there. Not as close as other drivers have gone. We've seen it go as low as 0% in the fuel tank. So Phantom Shadow continues to extend his lead by not by the margin that we thought he'd be doing it by. So up to 16.2 seconds. It seems to be going up quite modestly at the moment. Not a rapid increase from this man right here, the Ancient Pleb. Currently circulating on the medium compound tyres. He'll have to come in within the next 2 laps, I think, to top up on fuel. I presume we'll put in a new set of tyres as well. The Wildest Monk will have to come in as well at a similar time. Vidvia can kind of go on for a little bit extra, but he's lost quite a fair bit of time. Fun Anywhere appears to have gone a lap down, and he's actually in between both the Phantom Shadow and the Ancient Pleb, and being warned about blue flags to give way to the faster cars that are behind him, so he needs to move out of the way ASAP. But of course, with the Wildest Monk, he can use this to his advantage, because of course he can pick up that tow, pick up the draft, and try and gain some time, and get closer to the man that's in front of these two here. That of course is Phantom Shadow. So just like in the real race, we have flags on. So blue flags obviously signify to slower cars that they need to move out of the way for the faster cars that will come through. And if they don't do that, they can be penalised. And of course, well, Fun Anywhere is being warned about that to stay off the racing line. And that's not where he should have been through that zone there at all. He should have let the Wildest Monk through. Well, he's moved out of the way now, and he's been forced to slow down. But he's going to try and stay with him. So Fun Anywhere, unfortunately, a lap down after pitting for what I think is the 4th time here, possibly the 5th. So 25 minutes remaining, actually less than that, 24 minutes remaining on the clock. Vidvia here circulating around. He's a minute and 44 seconds back from the race leader. He's a minute and 21 back from the top 3, but 2 minutes ahead of Fun Anywhere, as our race leader is into the pit lane with just 7% of his fuel tank left. Similar story here with the Ancient Pleb, although he had a little bit more fuel left in the tank compared to our race leader. But they both come in, and it'll be a race off pit road. Who will take the most amount of fuel? Well, the Wildest Monk is also in to the pit lane as well. He will come in with 19% of his fuel tank remaining. So tyre change underway there for Phantom Shadow, who momentarily loses the lead of the race to the Ancient Pleb, because of course his pit box is slightly further back compared to Phantom Shadow's. So that's the reason as to why Phantom Shadow has lost the lead. So filling up the fuel tank there. Should go all the way to full, but will the Ancient Pleb try to get the undercut here? No, he won't. Phantom Shadow goes out. He's on the medium compound tyre as well, so he goes back out. Now the Ancient Pleb is released. No penalty to be applied this time round. But what about the Wildest Monk? Well, he's escaping now out of the pit lane too, and well, he's taking a full load of fuel and a fresh set of medium compound tyres. The gap up front is still 6.7 seconds between our top 2, and then it is 8 seconds back to the Ancient Pleb, who is sitting just in front of the Wildest Monk. 8 seconds is the gap between those two. Vidvira, as you said, is a little bit further back and is now the last car on the lead lap. And no fun anywhere. So he's still in, he's not. He's 3 minutes 58 seconds back, isn't he? Yes, so he's still not. Oh, no, wait. Technically, he is still on the lead lap because, well, once the leaders went into the pit lane, he got that lap back. So that means he is still on the lead lap for now. But he's still 2 minutes back from this man right here from Vidvia. With now 22 minutes left on the clock, and Vidvia is on a flying lap here. He's gone purple through that first sector. What can he do now for the rest? What can he do now for the rest of the track? He's found some pace here. It's not too late. He's still on the lead lap. He could claw back 52.6 seconds. It is possible. Le Mans is a very interesting track, and of course 90 minutes of racing. We still have 20 minutes left, so essentially we've got, I think, around a sprint race left. So if you just joined us, welcome to round 6 for Sim Nation India here. This is the final round of the championship, and we're doing this style here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. It's a 90-minute race. You've joined us now with just over 20 minutes remaining on the clock. The leader at the moment is Phantom Shadow 07. He's leading by 6.5 seconds over the Ancient Pleb, who in turn is 9.3 seconds up the road from Vidvia, but he's 9.4 seconds back from the Ancient Pleb, excuse me. He's actually 36.9 seconds back from Vidvia. Bukharan, unfortunately, at the tail end of the field, he's a lap down from everybody on the lead lap, and he was our pole sitter. He was the quickest man out there by quite a margin as well, and it just hasn't gone his way at all. And I hate to keep saying why it's happened, but unfortunately just the change of time in the day, where it shifted from day to night, it made things worse for Bukharan. It just got a little bit more tricky for him, and of course when the rain started to fall, having to switch tyres around and still being out there on the slicks, it really didn't play into his hands at all. Unfortunately, all the way down in 6th position at the moment. He's 41 seconds adrift from his closest rival, which of course is Fun Anywhere. He'll have to come and do a pit stop next time round because, well, he's got no grip essentially left on that left rear tyre on the medium compound. 19 minutes remaining here in the session. We're officially now into the final 20 minutes of this 1 hour and 30-minute race here around the iconic Circuit de la Sarthe here at Le Mans, France. 6.7 seconds to the good is Phantom Shadow. He is our race leader. 3:24.920. That was set 3 laps ago, and he was edging closer to the time of our early pace setter of Race 4 Gaming, who unfortunately disconnected from the session before we hit the 50% mark race distance, so he did not get those points for his disconnection position. So unfortunately he will not be walking away with championship points here. But Phantom Shadow 07, I can certainly say that he's been the man to beat this championship. Didn't fare too well in the first round, which unfortunately is not available on YouTube. We had some issues with that race. race and setting up the stream. It's actually broadcasted on Twitch, so it's not here on the YouTube channel. But Phantom Shadow's had a bit of a problem there because he's lost significant time to the Ancient Pleb, and it seems to be his lap times have gotten slower over the past 3 laps, and they've gone up almost 30 seconds apiece. 3:26 on lap 17, 3:51 on lap 18, and a 3:56 on lap 19. Now that doesn't seem to be because of tyre wear, because, well, he's been in the pit lane recently, so it can't be due to tyre wear, but he's losing significant time here to the Ancient Pleb. And you see, this is the joys of endurance racing. Now, this could be fatigue setting in here now for Phantom Shadow, because of course 1 hour and a half of racing, 1.5 hours of racing, excuse me, doesn't sound like a long time to be sitting here on your computer, or sorry, on your PS5. It's not a computer, it's a game console, isn't it? It's not as easy as you think it is, that's for sure, because you've got to be focused, you've got to be fully focused as well. You can't have any distractions, and maybe this is fatigue setting in here for Phantom Shadow, and he's starting now to gain some time now on the Ancient Pleb, but there seemed to be a very uncharacteristic mistake here during these blue sky runnings here. There wasn't really any issues there, there wasn't anything on the surface to make it greasy and slippery. It just seemed to be a lack of judgment there and just a mistiming on Phantom Shadow's behalf. So what can now the Ancient Pleb do? Well, he's gone 9/10 of a second faster that time round. He's done a 3:25.169 that time round. He's not gone into the 3:24s yet, so his fastest lap of the race was just at there, 3:25, but with 16 minutes left on the clock, I think these two now will go all the way to the end. Bukaran is in the pit lane now, I think now for the 6th time here at Circuit de la South, and look at the grip level left on that right rear tyre. It's just red. He had nothing left at all. That C9 would have been so squirrely, and of course when it's sending power to the rear axle, you need to have grip back there. You need to have grip on both of those rear tyres, and if you just don't have that grip, it's going to be a bad time there in that car. So he's got a fresh set of slicks, and now you get a full tank of fuel, and it'd be good to go all the way to the end. Unfortunately, Bukaran was our pole sitter, and that's not the unfortunate news. No, the unfortunate news is that he's at the tail end of the field here. He's in 6th position. Vidvia is also into the pit lane, so out goes Bukaran, and he'll be back out onto the circuit. So into the pit lane comes Vidvia. He was actually getting quite fast there towards the end of that stint on his tyres. I think that lighter fuel load really helped there, and with the soft sort of getting to the end of their lifespan there, he was really gunning it there all the way to the end of this race. But unfortunately down in 4th place. He's 34.7 seconds back from the Wildest Monk, who is currently sat in 3rd position overall. Then he's 1 minute 13 seconds up the road, but he's 18.7 seconds back from the Ancient Pleb, who is keeping Phantom Shadow 07 at bay here, and he's keeping him quite honest as well, because he's not losing a lot of time to him at the moment. He's kind of sticking with him here at the moment. Again, that slight mistake from Phantom Shadow really cost him some time, but he managed to still stay ahead of the Ancient Pleb. But there he is, he's still lurking in the background. Now, of the two, oh sorry, we went to the wrong one there. Phantom Shadow's got more fuel, and it seems to be the tyre wear on both cars is somewhat evenly matched between the two of them. So what the Ancient Pleb can do now is he can start to push, but that's too much of a push, and that's not what he needs to do there at all. He unfortunately pushed a bit too much to that corner and just lost control, and unfortunately because of that he's lost heaps of time to Phantom Shadow, and of course he's damaged that he's damaged the front end of the car, and from what I see now for the first time, he's also damaged the left front tyre, as it is currently blinking red on that little graphic there at the bottom of our screen. Now, I don't know if this is going to unsettle the car too much. It seems to be pointing in the right direction for the time being, but Does he have? I think he can go all the way to the end. Of course, that car now will be a little bit more harder to control, especially when you've got one of your steering wheels facing in the wrong direction, or kind of a little bit looser compared to the one on the right-hand side, because of course that's going to offset the steering completely. And that's unfortunately what happens when you hit the wall. Well, seems to it's fixed itself magically. I think that was just an indication that that part was damaged and it wasn't feeling too great. So just over 12 minutes remaining in the session, 0.5 of a second penalty for the Ancient Pleb, and that's going to slow him right down. As that cost him this victory, well, he's going to have to push hard, and he's going to have to start pushing now as Phantom Shadow is all over the grass. Has Phantom Shadow, oh, he's got into the wall. Has Phantom Shadow got a problem here? Has he got a disconnection problem? Has he got a problem with his equipment? He's in the wall and he's not reversing either. And he's left. He's had a disconnection. The Ancient Pleb now takes the lead. We're down to just 5 cars here with 12 minutes remaining on the clock. Now, of course, that means, well, let's just have a quick look at the notes that were shared with me before the race began. It said that if the driver disconnects and they've completed at least 50% of the race, 50% of the points will be awarded based on the position of disconnect. So he'll get, excuse me, he'll get 50% of those race points for a victory. Now, of course, we've discussed before what would be the outcome there. Would we have 2 drivers that would score maximum points, or would we have 1 driver that scores maximum points and then another scores 50% of those points? Well, it seems to be the Phantom Shadow will get only 50% of the points for a race victory. Babe. So, the Ancient Pleb goes into the lead. The Wildest Monk will be second, and Vidvia will be on the podium. Despite being 1 minute and 28 seconds back, Vidvia will be on the podium, and again, he's going quicker here again on those soft compound tyres, but he's picked up a penalty there. Fun Anywhere in 4th now, with Bukaran circulating in 5th now, so he's back up into the top 5. Not the way he'd like to have been given that 5th position. But of course, those will be valuable points for him for his championship hunt, although I fear though he might be a little bit far out of contention for the overall championship. But hey, we still have 10 minutes to go. I thought that last disconnection that we had just before the halfway point was the last one, but look what happened there in the last 12 minutes of the race. We lost the race leader, Phantom Shadow, who was under pressure from the Ancient Pleb, who in turn had his own issues on track. Now leads the race, and Phantom Shadow, well, he's out of the race, and it looks like Bukaran is going to go another lap down. Actually, who is that's in front of the now race leader? Well, it's Fun Anywhere who will go a lap down. He went a lap down previously, but due to the pit stops from the race leaders, he went back onto the lead lap, and now it seems to be that the race leader and him are on the same piece of tarmac, that front straightaway. So 14.9 seconds is the gap between the Ancient Pleb and the Wildest Monk, with Vidvia currently circulating in 3rd place. Now what will happen now in these final 9 minutes of the race? We've completed 22 laps successfully so far. It's not been incident free, that's for sure. We've had incidences left, right and centre, with drivers spinning off and losing control and missing their braking points. The rain has been a factor, the weather's been a factor. The time of day has been a factor as well for a few of the drivers. The nighttime period really caught a lot of them out there, and it's just so dark there on the Mulsanne Straight. It can be quite difficult, especially when the track is wet. There is the Ancient Pleb, and then just in front of him, you can see there is Fun Anywhere. It seems to be Drivers are informing each other now to switch tyre compounds to go onto the softs. Of course, the soft tyres are the quickest tyres of the lot. So you just saw a message briefly pop up there to signify to one of the drivers to go onto those soft compound tyres and try and go for the fastest lap. Now, there aren't points here for the fastest lap of the race. It's just for bragging rights there at the end. And it seems to be that Bukharan has finally taken that fastest lap of the race away from Race 4 Gaming. He did that on lap 21, a 3:24.334 on those softs. And he did that on the previous lap. Now he's picked up a second penalty. That will slow him down, unfortunately. As Race 4 leaves the session. I guess he was just spectating like we were. As through the first chicane goes Bukharan, our pole sitter from an hour and 22 minutes ago. But for the ancient pleb who was not on the front row of the grid, I think he was on the 4th position, looking for an outright victory here at the end of our 90-minute session. 7 minutes remaining on the clock. That will give us enough time essentially for 3 laps here, because we're about halfway through, no, further than halfway through this lap. So yes, we should have 3 laps left to run. No. If we're doing 3:33s, no. We have 2.5 laps remaining then, because, or 2.25 lap remaining, I guess we could say, technically speaking. Let's see how fast the ancient pleb goes. Will he start to slow down though on that final lap, or will he do it on this now penultimate lap here? Well, he's 17 seconds to the good so far, so maybe slowing down isn't the right idea to do. I think he's just going to push as hard as he can here all the way to the end. He's got to be mindful though of that fuel, because he's fast approaching 1/4 of a tank left in his Porsche 919 hybrid. As he goes past pit lane here for what could be now the start of the penultimate lap here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. Less than 6 minutes remaining on the clock, so mathematically this is the second to last lap that will run. So the ancient pleb now fast approaching Fun Anywhere to put the Toyota TS050 a lap down for the second time. He's managed to stay on the lead lap for quite some time, but unfortunately now he'll go a lap down here before the end of the race. Bukharan is the other car that is a lap down, and I think is the only car a lap down from the top 3. I don't think Fun Anywhere got through, so the blue flag waves. Fun Anywhere moves out of the way to allow the race leader through. Does not want to impede him, as he's 18.7 seconds up the road from the wildest monk. So he makes it nice and easy to get past Fun Anywhere and into the first chicane here for what should be the penultimate time. He'll have to revisit this corner, or sorry, that chicane for, well, one more time, and that'll be the next time round, as we have less than 4.5 minutes left on the clock now. And if we're running 3:25s, closer to the 3:30 mark, indeed this is the penultimate lap, if my maths serves me correct, as the ancient player works his way through that second chicane now, an improvement of 0.2 of a second through that sector. And let's see what he can do in these closing stages of the race. Not enough time to put a set of softs on to go for the fastest lap of the race, so I think that will go the way of Bukharan, unless Vidvia can do something about it towards the end of his final lap. Through that final corner at the end of the Mulsanne straight goes the ancient pleb. Put some time between himself and that Fun Anywhere car. The wildest monk is 20.2 seconds back. And it's just now approaching that right-hand corner. Vidvia is a little bit further back, but if there's anyone that could upset the party for that quickest lap, it is this man right here, because he's just gone quick through that sector again. But it seems to be it's the rest of the sectors that kind of don't gel with him at all, and he's picked up a 5/10 of a second penalty, so that's quite unfortunate there for him. So unfortunately he will not get that lap that he wants, that fastest lap of the race as well, as there is Fun Anywhere being forced to slow down for 1 second. There is again the race leader, the Ancient Pleb. He will go through now, 3 minutes remaining on the clock, so we will have enough time for one more lap as we now circulate way through the final couple of corners here around the Circuit de la Sarthe. 23 laps completed. We're on lap number 24, so we'll complete 25 laps of racing. How great would it have been if we completed 24 laps instead of 25, but of course the Ancient Player is going to push it all the way to the end here. We will have enough time for another lap as we go right, left, right one more time, and left for the penultimate time. This will be the final lap of the race here. Across the line now goes the Ancient Pleb onto lap number 25 of this 1 hour and 30 minute race. 90 minutes of racing. We've completed an hour and 27 minutes of racing, so that would be 87 minutes of racing so far completed. We'll make that now 88 minutes of racing. 2 minutes left on the clock here for the Ancient Pleb, our race leader by 21.7 seconds to this man right here, the Wildest Monk, who has now officially started the final, the 25th and final lap of the race, with Vidvia being 1 minute and 46 seconds back. Will he get to start the last lap? Yes, he will. And he's 5/10 of a second back. He's slowing down quite a fair bit down that back straight, and I wonder if he's doing this on purpose, because he's not supposed to be going 80 kilometers an hour through that sector. He's supposed to be going closer to the 100 mile per hour mark, if not faster than that. And it seems to be he's just taking his time now all the way through. He's losing time to the Wildest Monk, and I think he just wants to get it over and done with. 1 hour and a half of racing is quite a long time here around this circuit. It's very grueling, it's very challenging as well. But the Ancient Pleb, he will be the first man to see that checkered flag with less than 60 seconds remaining now on the clock. He's made his way through that second chicane for the final time here at Le Mans. The Wildest Monk will make his way now through that second chicane here for the final time as well. As there is Vidvia, he's been forced to slow down, and he is 2.5 minutes back from the race leader. Circulating in third. Still not at race pace. Now let's see what happens when the leader gets close, because if he gets across the line, he will still have to complete that lap. So he's going to have to, if he's going for this last lap lunge here and just waiting for it to sort of finish, he's going to be waiting quite a fair bit of time. So the Ancient Pleb now, I've just had a look at his fuel gauge. That is alarmingly low. He's going to have to coast his way through the final corners. Now actually, is that the reason why Vidvia is doing that? No, he has a quarter of a tank left. He stopped in the middle of the road now, hasn't he? The Wildest Monk, though, has a decent chunk of fuel left, but for this man right here, the Ancient Pleb, he has less than what looks to be a tenth of his fuel gauge left. Vidvia has stopped in the middle of the road. I don't think he wants to do another lap here. Well, the yellow flag is out, so no overtaking here whatsoever, as there is Vidvia just staying right there at the end. I would have thought he would have tried to go along with his teammate, but decided not to do that, and he's got going now, so it won't be a photo finish. And the Ancient Pleb is going to cut it extremely close here at the line. He's going to come across the line on fumes. Through the left-hander we go for one final time, and now across the line will come the Ancient Pleb to win round 6 here of Sim Nation India. Across the line will come the Wildest Monk next, as he will work his way through the corners. Vidvira has gone across the line in third, 1 lap down from the race leader. But for the Wildest Monk now, it's his turn to go through. Fun Anywhere has gone across the line in fourth as well. And there goes the Wildest Monk to take second overall. So just 1 car left, and that is Bukaran, who will work his way through. Well, the session didn't give him enough time to cross the line at all. But there is confirmation. So the Ancient Pleb actually started in third, and there he was at the end of the race. He was in that all-important top of the step in first place. Congratulations to the race winner there at the end. Congratulations to all the participants, and thank you so much for joining us here at Sim Nation India. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon, but from me, good night, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the not so distant future.